We're also very fortunate to have Walton as a artist in residence here in Great Barrington, and fortunately, again, the confluence of events, our friend Walton has done a lovely illustration in one of the editions here.
The heavy stuff would be nice.
Yeah, we will. So you're all set with your, Laura, the protocol about filming?
Monkeys are always court jesters. They're always anthropomorphized. They're people. They're clowns. They're something that you look at, but they're not allowed to be monkeys if they're pets. And so the history of monkeys as pets is something that interests me. That's the kind of subject that I'll get interested in. So it's really the way we want to define animals rather than the way that animals actually are in the world. I'm not the least bit interested in sort of Sierra Club calendar art that's about animals in nature, like, oh, that's just a beautiful picture of an animal walking in its own habitat doing something, like, or nature photography that's like that. It's nice, but it doesn't interest me. What interests me is that Swinburne, the writer, had a monkey and that his servant hung it, and that, you know, and all this kind of stuff. It's like, to me, that's what's interesting, how they trapped animals through the centuries, how they kept them as pets and how they interacted with them. Animals that were kept in menageries by kings and queens. You know, this kind of stuff. Myths that grow up around animals, fables that grow up around animals. And so the whole book is full of these stories that I've found. So everything that I paint about comes out of something I've read, some bit of history, some bit of, but very little of it comes from sort of strictly observed natural history, if that makes any sense. So sometimes I'll have animals that were owned by people and I'll have them acting out things that those people did. It won't even be about the animal at all. So that's all, anyway. And if you look through the book and see if you have any questions while I'm doing a signing, you can ask. Or you can ask now.
I don't imagine anybody who's heard you give that speech about what you do would say this, and yet I suspect you might anyway have been called the 21st century Audubon.
Sure.
And what do you feel about that?
Well, it's okay, you know, because he was good, you know. So that doesn't matter, you know. And then the other part is that he anthropomorphized the animals, whether he meant to or not. So he created these sort of narratives within a lot of the best of his pictures that were his own way of presenting this animal. And so, and if you go to the Museum of Natural History, you get really strong senses of that in the dioramas. They're about the way somebody like Teddy Roosevelt thought about the natural world. So there'll be a big male right in the middle, and then there'll be a family group that's kind of reclining. You know, there's no career women in the museum, and there's no matriarchies, which there are in natural history, but they weren't interested in observing that, and it took sort of like female primatologist Jane Goodall or something to go out there and find those structures. Oh, there's a matriarchy or something like that. So the cultural overlay on natural history is something that interested me right away. It was like, well, this is telling a story, but it might not even be an accurate one. So I don't even tell any accurate stories. I'm not interested in accurate stories. You know.
So the modern day Audubon, when did you first get called that?
Oh, I don't know. They use it a lot. I don't know, but they won't. They'll say, well, they're better than that. They like the New York magazine said Audubon on Viagra, and I thought that's now we're talking. Now we're talking.
You know, there's something as you speak, the idea that you read about this. There's a literary quality.
Absolutely.
To this. And I would assume that you started making these journeys by yourself, but do people now send you books, send you
Oh, it's
stories?
wonderful. That's the best bit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How wonderful. Unbelievable. That to me, at this point, people send me stuff that, and then I don't even have to work. And it's,
Like, what's one of the more interesting, inspiring books that you've got or have picked up recently that you feel sort of, you know,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
that
That's a
you're
big
sort
one,
of
yeah.
excited about? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Sort of like,
Well, there's
oh,
a
this
book
could
that I
be-
continue to be excited by, which I bought many years ago, actually, and it was in a used bookstore, and it's called Camp Life and the Tricks of Trapping, and it was written in 1880 something, and it was written for boys in America, and it taught you every kind of trap imaginable. There was no gain loss when this was written, so it was how to trap hummingbirds and how to trap panthers and how to trap anything that you could possibly hope to trap
And
or
probably
kill
real life.
and sell them in the market. I mean, you just bring them to the market and you sell them either to feather people who are buying feathers or people who are buying meat, or it doesn't make any
It's
difference.
a real practical, like.
It's a practical guidebook, and there are drawings of every single trap, and those traps are all over my work now. And they've been ever since I bought this book. I just got as a matter of fact, what I drew in the Cata book is of hummingbirds going into trumpet flowers and getting stuck because the people who made sold ornamental feathers to hat makers, they used to put glue in and bird lime is what you called it. It's a sticky substance. You put it in a flower and the hummingbird would stick his head in.
That's
Then
one
he'd
of
have a
the
little
things you
heart
learned?
attack.
One
Oh
of the
yeah,
things you learned from that book.
they put it in
Wow.
Tricks of Trapping in this book, and just to tell the little boy how to make a little extra buck trapping hummingbirds, and it was all this kind of like really dark version of Little Rascals or something.
Did the bears come from that too, the fire and the tree and the...
That was a story from Audubon actually. So I mean that I made pictures of that too. Yeah. That was a bear hunt that he was on, where they set fire to the tree that the bears had climbed up. That was so a little bit of fun for
That's
him.
wonderful.
But Benedict Toshin, who published the book, owns that picture.
Does it?
So there you go.
Have you seen the YouTube video from South Africa called The Battle of Kruger?
Absolutely, yeah. But that's the kind of stuff like I'll get people will keep sending. I mean, somebody sent it to me yesterday. I mean, it's like that. Like I get that all year long. Like, have you seen it?
I did.
Correct.
Clef vanilla.
On your way out, there's a table around the corner.
Yeah, and how much it goes to Mexico, right?
Let me see if I can. I won't be able to, because if I do, it'll be like I'll never leave, right?
Yeah, right.
Quarter of,
We'll see that.
maybe
Another time.
slip
I'll stop by. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Right, man. Hey, very nice.
Thank you very much.
Some valid yeah, down west. All my folks are from this my brother was from Georgia.
Prototypes for their